Yo, what up? How's it going? And welcome back for another video. Today's video, I'm going to be doing a Draven guide for you guys. This is going to be a composition guide and items, all that good stuff. This is going to be a standard Draven build. This is a build that I've been using. Can be meta dependent on how these builds will change, but the general idea should be the same throughout the set on how you play Draven and some of the units you play with him and some of the transition units that you'd want to use when you're playing Draven. This video is really great for intermediate to advanced TFT players, but this video is also very beginner friendly because I'll be talking about the ideas of how to play Draven and the ideas of like how to build a proper team comp. So I'll be talking about that instead of just like showing you the information and leaving you alone. So let's get right into it. So let's pull Draven up onto the screen. I'm using a team building website. I think this is TFT Tactics or something like that. Yeah. So let's put Draven over here. So let's talk about what items do you want on Draven. So let's just actually talk about like best in slot stuff. Honestly, it's hard to know what best in slot is on Draven, but Deathblade, you can't go wrong. The best in slot is like weird with Draven and Aphelios because essentially whenever you're playing the game and you're looking to play Draven, you should also be looking to play Aphelios. We're not going to talk too much about Aphelios in this game, but we're going to talk because we're going to be doing Draven's guide, but it's important to mention them because they share items, which is why it's weird getting their best in slot and stuff like that. So I'm just going to show you some good setups. So Deathblade is going to be awesome. It's going to be your best bet. It's going to be great. Sometimes Deathblade is a little hard to slam in the early game. So if you're not able to have Deathblade, it's fine. But here's a build. If you're new to building AD carries, essentially you just need to have AD damage, attack speed, and then you can also have some type of utility. You can have healing, stuff like that. That's all fine too. In this set, you just build a lot more like a glass cannon. It's a lot better. You can play a game like this. I just played a game like this in a full challenger lobby, and this were my Draven items, and it went just fine. Alternatively, you could play like Rageblade or something like that. You could just not have any of these items, and you could just have IE, and you could have Shadow BT, Shadow Rune Ends, and he'll deal a lot of damage and he'll heal himself. Don't stress too much about these guys' items, but if you want to know what I like to play, I haven't really quite figured out what I like the most, but I do like Deathblade RFC as a core, and then whatever else I want with the rest of it. I can do, you know, Shadow Rune Ends, I can do more damage, I can do an IE, I can do BT, I can do whatever, and it feels nice. I personally like RFC because Draven, one of his big problems, he has less range than Aphelios, so he will, if you corner him, if you don't have RFC, he will walk up to here, and if the enemy has a Morgana will hit you. And it feels very bad. Volibear will jump on you. You'll get hit by Ivern and stuff. So I like RFC quite a bit on Draven, but you know, some players don't like it. Okay, we'll talk about building his composition in a second, but since you're playing an 80 champion, let's talk about some of his transition units. So what are some units that you want to item hold for him in the early game? So you can do, let's take Draven off of here. You can do Ballista. You can item hold for Kha'Zix. You can actually item hold 80 items on Lissandra, and it's really not too bad. You can do it on Udyr. It's not quite as easy on Udyr because when you run like a skirmisher board, it's easier just to transition than skirmishers, but Udyr can definitely hold your items. Vayne can hold your items. At the time of me making this video, Vayne is not one of the units I like to play, so I do not use her as an item holder. Ziggs is a great item holder as well. Even though he's AP, he does a lot of attack speed, or he does really great with attack speed and AD as well. So these can all be great item holders for you, and obviously like stuff like Varus, stuff like that. But these are going to be pretty much the item carries for you for the early game for your Draven build, and just build a comp around this. Transition to a mid game comp and transition to a late game comp. So let's talk about the late game comp. Mid game, you can transition to a different comp and not use those as item holders. You could use like a Yasuo as an item holder. You can use a Riven as an item holder. You can use a Jax as an item holder. You can use a Trundle as an item holder mid game. But let's talk about the late game build. So this is going to be a standard Draven build. So the standard Draven build at the moment is a 2 Legionnaire build with a bunch of front lines. And this is going to be the standard Draven build throughout the set. And what I mean by standard is I just mean like, you know, you're playing the game out and you're willing to play Aphelios, you're willing to play Draven, you're willing to do that. You're probably going to end up with a board that looks like with what I'm going to show you, rather than like a 6 Legionnaire board, which is a decent board at the moment right now. But the standard board is going to be a 2 Legionnaire. So let's just pretend Draven has these items. Let's just pretend this is Draven's items. I don't know. This is Draven's items. This is fine. let's talk about the core units you want to play around with him. The Legionary you're going to play with him is almost always going to be Mordekaiser. You can play Kale, but Kale has a whole sets of problems. It's going to be much easier just playing with Mordekaiser. But if you want to fit in Kale, you can. That's all good. But the core units you're going to play around are going to be Mordekaiser, Rise, and Thresh. Mordekaiser, Rise, and Thresh. So these are going to be your Forgottens, giving you that buff. And these are going to be the core units who you play around. I play Rise nearly every game, but sometimes I'll play a different setup where it doesn't include Rise. But this is your core setup. I like to play around Thresh mid-game, and then I pick up Rise, Mordekaiser, and Draven as soon as I see them, if it looks like I'm going to be playing Draven that game. So these are the core units right here, and then you just build a composition after that. So looking at our synergies right here, we have Knights, we have our 2 Legionnaire, we have Dragon Slayer, and we have Mystic. Later on in the game, I usually transition out of Thresh and go into a Viego. So I like to switch out into a Viego after I find just a 1-star Viego, and I'm already playing something like a Diana. It can fit in really nicely. But sometimes I'll hold on to Thresh even if I hit a Viego, if it's just like the Thresh is just doing a lot of work that game. But you can't play around that core of those 3 units, and then the only one you swap out is going to be Viego. And if you get a Forgotten spat, you can drop Rise if you want to, but Rise is a pretty solid unit. Okay, so let's build the rest of your comp. So you can put whatever you want in here, but let's build a comp. All right, we got Rel, we got Nautilus. Where they at? We got our Iron Chads in here. So we got those guys. These are just really, really, really insane strong units. And they just fit into basically any comp. I like fitting them in if I can. Let's put some more units in there. So we got a Mystic, so we can put a Mystic in there. So whatever Mystic you want to put in there, you can put in there. So we got a Kindred. Let's put in a Kindred. How many units we got so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 units already. We drop, and then we add a Diana to our board. And now we have Assassin. We have Assassin with these 2. We have Dragon Slayer. We have Iron Chad. We have Mystics, and I'm not really doing my position here. Obviously, you just change your position based on what's going on in the game. I'm not going to talk too much about rel positioning because that's a different topic for a different video. But basically, when you do this build, you can decide on what you want to have in there. But this is a fine build. We got frontline, we got backline, we got CC here, we got CC here, we got CC here, we got CC here, we got CC here. Do we have survivability? We sure do. We got Kindred. And we're gonna have some tank items over here. And Rel helps our Draven stay healthy if we position it around our Rel as well. But you don't have to finish with this build. It can look like this, but it doesn't have to look like this. You can play around Knights if you really want to, but this is going to be a really standard Draven build right here. But if you wanted to play around Knights, you just play Taric, you play Thresh, and you play +2 Knights. You can also, if you want to play around and you don't need these Iron Chads, or maybe you don't need Mystic, and you add a Darius. You can add a Darius. Maybe you hit a Darius, and now you have Nightbringer with Diana. So now you have Nightbringer, and you got Knight Synergy as well. Only thing you lost is you lost Mystic. But if you're playing against a lot of AD people, that's fine. So that is in general what the build's gonna look like. And guys, it's really just as simple as that. There's not much more there. If you want to know about Mordekaiser items, let's talk about that real quick. Almost forgot about my man Mordekaiser. You give him the leftover items. Don't think too much about Mordekaiser, but he can be your second carry in your build, and like Viego, Diana can be third, fourth carries, or second carries in their own right if they get some good items. But don't think too hard about Mordekaiser items. You just give them the leftover items. You just give them your frontline items. So, you know, you could literally have something like this. Like, this could be fine. He just has some tank items. He has some survivability, has a little bit of damage. But he could just have full tank items. It really doesn't matter. Like, his build could look like this. Don't focus on Mordekaiser build. If you're trying to play Draven, don't focus too much on Mordekaiser build. Put tank items on him. Put AP items on him. Put some health on him. Gunblade's good on him. Don't sweat it too much. Rel, just put whatever on her. Put some tank items. Viego can do really well with like a blue buff. He casts really early into the fight. And, or you can put some damage on him. It's fine too. Rise also works really well with a blue buff. You want to give him a blue buff. You can actually give him a blue buff and a little bit of damage. He actually kind of pops off. That's all good too. If you end up getting like a dark blue buff, you're playing Rise, and you have a Guardian Angel, you can do the same thing that LeBlanc does, and you can toss him up on the front line and do some shenanigans. Alternatively, this is not Draven specific, but you can put either version of this item, Frozen Heart, onto Diana, and it'll work out really nicely. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for the video. It's really simple. Playing Draven is really fun. Play around your core units of Draven, Mordekaiser, Rise, and Thresh, and you should be good to go. And just slot in units for the lobby or whatever units you're hitting and all that good stuff, and you should be good to go. So that's going to be it. If you guys liked the video, make sure to like the video and all that good stuff. Comment down if you have any questions for me about this comp, and I'll be happy to answer them whenever I can get to it. Yeah, so if you liked the video, yo, I love you guys. And I stream every day. Except for Saturdays. All right, see you guys. Bye-bye. Have a good day.